Welcome to Charting Crypto's Commodities and Currencies. Let's jump first, as we always do, into Bitcoin, see where things are going after several weeks of down movement, after we saw things really peak that first week of the prior up movement all the way back on June the 19th. It hit just about as high as it was going to go, then slid sideways and then down. After 4 weeks of slipping sideways, we saw that move start back on the week beginning the 14th of August, and we've broken that trend line this week. We can see 8 days of unrelenting up movement as far as these 2-day candles go, hoping as we get further into this week, we'll feel more strengthened and ready to potentially pull the trigger on an up trade. Now, where might things go? Well, if we look back in time this year, we see how things languished through November, December, and then in January popped up, slid sideways and down, popped up, slid sideways and down, popped up, sideways and down. Now we are about where we were. Check out this. See where things started, see where we are now. It's about the same spot. This might be a floor, might give us the opportunity to jump in and ride the next wave up. That's what I've been telling you guys. I've been wanting to see a nice, good pullback, and we have pulled back all the way to where things started last time. So let's see if that indeed is going to be the case. What's going on with Ethereum? Well, like we saw happen with Bitcoin. Let me move this out. I don't like this stuff. It's no way that I know of to get rid of it, but we'll move it over. We see where things came down in November, slid sideways until January, popped up, down a little bit, up and down. We see somewhat similar, not as good as Bitcoin, because really just sort of sideways and confusing, starting in late April up until things recently moved over after, I guess, it'd be the first week, the middle week of August, beginning the 14th. But see what it did? It went all the way down to the bottom where it sunk to last week, and really not any further. Don't see it pushing through the trend line yet. Maybe it will if indeed we see things roll up on Bitcoin. Ethereum many times follows it, might take off. So we'll keep an eye on it. Keep your powder dry. You can see on the 2-day chart where it's up there at it right now, but slowing down. So we'll see. It was down for the day 1.13%. By the way, Bitcoin down 0.29%. This is the 24-hour-a-day chart. Now let's go to Bitwise 10 Crypto Index Fund. As I tell you every week, top 10 cryptocurrencies weighted as per market share. You can see again one of these spinning tops where it blew up quite strong, and we've not really been able to establish any kind of trend line. Is it tracking up a little bit? Maybe it's still just about flat. So I haven't even tried to redraw it because there's really not anything to redraw. So when it gets sucky like that, there's not much you can do except wait for something to happen. It has slowly, it looks like, trying to move up. But again, it hasn't reached the high that it reached back on the 28th of August during that week, not even close to it. So we'll keep an eye, but nothing's really happening. That's where we are on our cryptocurrencies. Hoping, just to wrap that up, Bitcoin's going to take off. Maybe Ethereum will follow. We shall see. Next, let's move on to our commodities. A little bit to show you. We can see the gasoline fund. Remember how energy took off? I mean, it really started to take. We can see where it plummeted to the low there in early May. And then sideways, some popped up and then sort of faked us out that week beginning 30 May, and then slowly but inexorably, started moving up. Then it died on the vine for 2 weeks there, August 21st, beginning then in the 28th. And then over the last 3 weeks, it's trying to move up. It was down for the day considerably. You can see down for several days. Today alone, 2.09%, pushing through, at least on the half-day chart, pushing through that weekly trend line, touching it on the wick on the bottom on the 2-day chart. So again, we'll see what energy's going to do. That was the gasoline fund. Oil, it was down for the day also 1.67%, but the last 3 weeks been decent. Now again, we can see last day and a half rolling over. So don't quite know what's going on with energy, but it has been on a decent tear since, at least oil, since the week beginning the 3rd of July. Gave us that short roll over that week on the 21st of August, beginning then, and then for the last 4 weeks moving up. Wheat, still heading down. I guess that's good for the poor people in the world that really need commodity prices on food to be low, because wheat is low. If we really rein this in, you can see these wheat prices, last time they were this low was back in April of 21. And then, of course, that'd be the week beginning the 5th of April. Then we saw them run up to these crazy highs, of 1275. Now, of course, we can see 587. So less than half of that. That's good. If you're poor and you need to eat, it's good to see that wheat prices are down. What about corn? Corn down also. Now we've seen it ticking up over the last day and a half, but again, corn really jacked down starting at the end of July. And then that slowed, and slowly but surely it's been moving down, but really it hit its most recent low of $21.74. And of course, it hit that this week, but that was back in July the 10th. So again, good to see that food stocks are low. Wait for them to take off. Maybe as we approach winter, they will. What do we see on sugar cane? Well, sugar cane heading up here for the last several weeks. It had popped up, back in April, late April, and then sort of slid sideways, moved down in late June, and then sideways, and then started moving up in late August. And of course, again, some decent movement in sugar. That is it for the commodities to show you. We're now going to move on to currencies. What do we see going on there? Just a repeat of the story. We saw currencies boost up there in early, mid-July. We saw the euro do that. And since then, trundling down. We look at the Swiss franc, same kind of thing. Popped up in mid-July and then started moving over, down since then. The yen, same kind of thing. Even though yen had been going down, it tried to pop up and then rolled over, been going down since then. But look at the Canadian dollar. Same kind of thing there in late July. Things rolled over, but the last 2 weeks, Canadian dollar has been gaining a little. Same with the Australian dollar, not to any extent like the Canadian, but again, so interesting. Don't know what that is about, but it's interesting to know as far as the euro goes. And let's check out the British pound, of course. It's still moving down too. So the euro, pound, Swiss franc, yen, all of those still moving down after they tried to pop up in July, as the dollar has just remained strong. That is where we are, folks. Nothing big changed today with the Fed news when it comes to those global currencies. Appreciate you being with us. I love sharing this information with you every week. Why? Well, it's very fascinating to me to look at where things are when it comes to cryptocurrencies, of course, Bitcoin being the big one. I also like to follow up with you on commodities. These are real things like gasoline, like oil, like wheat, like corn and sugar cane, soybeans, copper, natural gas, silver. All those kinds of things are interesting for you to look at once a week and just see what's really going on in the world. What's really going on with commodities, things people eat, things they use in business, things like copper that are used so much in the industrial process, oil that's used in everything from manufacturing to, of course, the car that you drive. Looking at these kinds of things gives you a real world aspect as to what it is we're talking about and what we're doing. Also, looking at things like currencies to know what's going on with other things in the world, whether it is the euro, whether it is the British pound, the Swiss franc, the Japanese yen, the Canadian, the Australian dollar, knowing what's happening in the world with their currencies as compared to the U.S. also gives you a good idea as to what's going on outside just the stock market, the ETFs, the gold and the bonds that we look at every week, along with our snapshot of Bitcoin. So I like sharing that with you. If you appreciate what we do here, if you want to support us, of course, first thing to do is always like our videos. Make sure to share those with people. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Subscribe at chartingwealth.com. And of course, get the daily reviews, the once a week weekly review and forecast, and the special trainings we put out for you each and every day. We so appreciate you being with us. We love to hear from you. CW at chartingwealth.com. God bless, my friends. All the best from the whole team here at Charting Wealth World Headquarters.